Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
I couldn't be doing better on this Monday afternoon, and we got some exciting Final Four matchups set up for March Madness, Caden. This NCAA tournament hasn't gone, I think, as many people may have wanted with the upsets, but we kind of got our matchup set now, Caden. So give us a little bit of the history and background of what's going on in this matchup.
Yes. So in this episode, yeah, we're gonna kind of talk about this past weekend, recap some of those games, and yeah, into what we got previewed in the Final Four and the championship. So yeah, we got all five, or not all five, all four one seeds in the Final Four for only the second time in the history of the tournament. Favorites in this tournament. No, where'd you go? No, a stat left me. Yes. Favorites in this tournament are now 48 and 12 straight up and 33 and 27 against the spread. It has been a very chalk tournament. All four one seeds, Duke, Auburn, Florida, and Houston, all in the Final Four. And just so everyone knows, in the 2008 Final Four, the only other time we've had all four one seeds. Neither semifinal was decided by fewer than 15 points. Favorite Memphis beat UCLA by 15, and Kansas upset UNC, winning by 18 as a 3-point dog. So the only time we've seen this, surprisingly, we didn't get good games. I have a feeling that will change for us this upcoming weekend. So yeah, so how did our 4-1 seeds get into the Final Four? What did they do to get here in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight? Well, Florida and Maryland, a matchup, one of the very few, one of the very minute matchups that I actually predicted in this tournament was the Florida Maryland game. I thought this is when the lack of bench for Maryland was going to run out and Florida was going to take control. And that is what we saw. We saw Florida with a nice, clean, kind of dominant victory. And the same for Duke against Arizona, except in a much higher scoring affair, 193. We'll see scores like that in the NBA. So they actually scored some points for once. I call it. That was at least good for them.
Yeah, Ken, this one kind of went exactly how I thought it was gonna. You said at least good for them. I don't really give out pity or participation awards, over here on the Untouchables podcast. But again, that was a matchup we both kind of predicted, and I think Florida really ran away with it, and no surprises there.
And then, yeah, we get over to the other Sweet 16 games for our Elite Eight finalists where Auburn and Michigan square off. It's actually close for a little while. We get a pretty close first half, and then we get into the second half, and Gianni Broome and company, Denver Jones and such, they just run away with the game, show that they are the better team, that they are one of the best teams in the country. And Michigan's little cute little kind of cute little run is over. You're just outmatched by this Auburn Tigers team.
Yeah, Ken, this Auburn Tigers team, although they've had the shaky start to the tournament and they had the, three of the last four losses, they've, rallied, they've put things together, and Denver Jones really has put on, some impressive performances throughout this tournament. And I think they're, have proved me wrong. I didn't have them come into the Final Four. I thought they were going to lose in the Elite Eight round, but credit to them and what they've been able to accomplish so far.
Yeah, and then the other one seed to play in the Sweet 16 was Houston against the 4 seed Purdue Boilermakers, who I will repeat once again just to show you guys how good my bracket has been this year. This Sweet 16 bound Purdue Boilermakers team that only lost to the Houston Cougars by 2 points in a very close, highly contested affair. I thought they'd lose a high point in the first round. So, a little different outcome. but Houston does what Houston does best in this game against Purdue and plays the best defense in the country.
Caden, I've been telling you, this is the best defense team in the country. Defense wins championships. They will win the national title. And that Purdue game was a little scary, though. I must admit, even as, having Houston in my bracket, that was by far the most uneasy I felt in all these Houston games. But credit to them, because I think we'll hop straight into the Houston versus Tennessee matchup in that Elite Eight. But they bounced back big time with suffocating, dismantling defense of Tennessee. They made Tennessee look average. They made Tennessee look like they didn't belong in the court, and they couldn't buy a bucket. It was absolutely abysmal offense from Tennessee, and part of that was due to the defense, to the pressure of, Joseph Tugler and all those amazing players there on the Houston defense.
Yeah, so you have this game here where it's two great offenses, but it's also two of the top five defenses in the country with the Volunteers and the Houston Cougars, where you knew this game was going to be low scoring. One of the most low scoring games you will see in this tournament. And the over-under showed that. The over-under was only set at 126 and a half. When we had gone over this game before, whether it be in the tournament or the bracket breakdown with us two and Evan, or last week's we were previewing the game, I thought this would be a very low-scoring game where I'm like, I don't know if the winner will even break 60 points. It's a 69 to 50 ball game. We saw only 119 points scored in this game. We saw this Tennessee offense score only 15 points in the first half. They are a very good defense. They are a top 20 offense in the country, and Houston held them to only 15 points in this first half. Their
Oh yeah.
defense is so legit. They slow the game down offensively as well that it's going to be, I think, tough for them to lose now, especially that we are back in San Antonio in the state of Texas.
Correct, Caden. And like all those factors you mentioned definitely play into Texas. But let's talk about the team that Houston will be facing. And that's a team that's also red hot, and a lot of people have, as a national champion favorite, Caden, in the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, so Duke gets matched up here in the Elite Eight with Alabama, and the Crimson Tide really just were outmatched in this game against Duke. Duke wins this game by 20. They actually shoot better percentage wise from three than Alabama. They out rebound the Crimson Tide by 11. They do just everything better than Alabama in this game. Like Mark Sears was held to only 6 points on 2 of 12 shooting. Alabama doesn't have a chance really when Mark Sears can't produce like that. Then you got players all around this team where Tyrese Proctor, little 17, Knappel 21, 16 and 9 out of Cooper Flag. This Duke team is scary good offensively and defensively.
They are. They're so deep. They know how to attack you, and most importantly, they know how to win, Caden. As you know, a conference champion and a majority favorite coming into this tournament. This is a legit team, and it makes up for an exciting matchup that we're gonna hop into here in just a second.
Yeah, and the other matchup we got is with the other one season where we got Florida, where they matched up against Texas Tech in the Elite Eight with a game that was close, really, from start to finish, where it seemed like Florida was basically always leading, but it was only by a bucket or maybe 4 or 5 points, where it's always right in reach for Tech this whole game. They could just never, I guess, get it over the hump, get into that winner's circle where you have people like Walter Clayton, who shows up in the clutch, makes the big shots, makes the clutch free throws, and shows that some college kids actually can make free throws. I know you don't see it much, especially in this tournament. You haven't seen a lot of it. Walter Clayton, he makes his free throws.
You know what, Caden? I will shout out, Bucks Julian Hammond because he also makes his free throws, and I know you didn't get to watch. You weren't blessed to watch a lot of Colorado basketball this past season, but I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, kid, again, there's reason why these one seeds are in this tournament because they are the four probably best four teams in the country. And there's so much to like about what this Florida team is able to do. And, Texas Tech was a good team. Like, they have Big 12 Player of the Year on offense. They have a lot of different ways to attack you and different ways to beat you. And for them to come out and continue to get sound victories against these top tier opponents, obviously knowing what they're able to do in the SEC, just shows how deep they are.
Yes, so this Florida team is legit. The Texas Tech team may or may not have been a team I thought was losing in the round of 32, and then they made the Elite Eight. So I was good at the whole bracket thing this year.
Okay, man,
And then
that's
yeah,
damn right.
our last Elite Eight matchup where we got was Auburn beating uh, Michigan State 70-64, where G&I Broom puts up 25 for the Tigers, and the rest of the scoring's kind of even. It really was controlled by G&I Broom. Shot 10 of 13 from the field, had that 25 points. Also supplied 14 boards to go along with it, where he was really the dominating force in this game, where they were able to shut down this Michigan State team, which is really good at scoring in the paint, it's only shooting 34% from the field.
Yeah, he was really the front man for them, Caden, throughout this entire game. And this was one of the biggest shockers to me as I did have Michigan State advancing and moving on to the Final Four in my bracket. And I thought, they were gonna be able to keep their flame extended a little bit longer. We talked about, three ball is gonna be the death of them at some point, Caden. And ultimately, it wasn't, the only reason why they lost. It was a plethora of other reasons to go along with it. They just got out competed. I just didn't think they had enough firepower and will to compete at the end of the day. But credit to them, they had a really good season. Caden, obviously, we know, their coach and everything that that program has legacy wise, and that's, really the kind of the standard over there. But, credit to Auburn outlasting them, and Auburn's, again, I said it a little bit ago. They've come a long way and they've proved some people wrong.
Yeah, Auburn has definitely proved some people wrong here. I think a lot of people also kind of got scared away by their end of the season,
I
myself
did.
included. I thought Texas A&M was going to get through them in the Sweet 16. Texas A&M didn't get through Michigan in the round of 32, who I thought was going to get through UC San Diego in the round of 64. All good things. Let's get to our final four now, though, where once again, this is only the second time in the history of the tournament where we have had all four number one seeds be in the final four. The only other time being in 2008. So in our first Final Four matchup, we have the number one seeded Florida Gators going up against the Auburn Tigers. Mex, who do you have coming out in this game where Florida is a 2.5 point favorite?
Oh, this one's gonna be close, Caden. This one's gonna be exciting. Both these games are gonna be exciting, but I ultimately do have Florida coming out. Ultimately, that was what I had originally in my bracket. I had them going to the championship. I'm not gonna waver. I'm not gonna change it at this point. They had the stronger end to the season. Uh, they looked the best within their competition and the players they have played, and I like them to come out and get it done.
Yes, I am with you on this game where I think Florida and what they're able to do, not only offensively, but defensively on the ball, where I think they're going to be able to slow down Gianni Broom, slow down what he's able to do on the offensive end of the ball for Auburn, where really think they can limit him, so they're going to try to find their secondary and tertiary guys to try and make their open looks, try and make the big shots because their best player is just kind of getting a chokehold put on him. So I think they're going to be able to lock down him, and it's going to result in a good victory for the Florida Gators. And then our second matchup is the Houston Cougars between the Duke Blue Devils. I know you got some things to say about this one, so I'm going to
I
let you
do,
go.
Caden, and this Duke Blue Devils team has been phenomenal all season long. They obviously have the best player, presumably, guaranteed number one overall pick in Cooper Flag. Been phenomenal. We know about the Duke Blue Devils, But this Houston Cougars team, led by their defense, led by Kelvin Sampson, Joseph Tugler, Milos Uzan, Emmanuel Sharp, LJ Cryer, the list goes on. They are deep at their guard positions, Cade. They can turn it on when they need to. They can hit the shots, and they've proven in the clutch moments in this tournament that when someone needs to make a play, they need to get a stop, they will suffocate you, they will do the right thing, and they will hit the right shots at the right time, Caden. They are fundamentally sound. This team is healthy, right? They are not injured anymore. They are ready to rock and roll, and I think this is finally the season. They put it all together. They get over the hump. They make it to the national championship and knock off the Duke Blue Devils.
That was a great speech, Max. You were so passionate and commanding
Come say
in your
something
love
wrong. Come say something
and
wrong things.
respect for the Houston Cougars and their basketball team. But I think you're forgetting about what happens on that Duke Blue Devil side of the basketball. But you got players like Cooper Flag, who could give you 25, 8, and 5 in a game. You have a player like Tyrese Proctor, who we've seen on multiple games in this tournament, give you 6 plus threes. I know Houston is great. They are the best defense in the country, and they are one of these top offenses in the country. But guess what? Duke's also a top 3 defense in this country, and a top 5 offense in this country.
We know,
And,
Caden.
and Flag and Proctor will prevail. And the Duke Blue Devils will be going on to face the Florida
Hey,
Gators
when push
in the
come to
national
shove,
championship.
when push come to shove, them Duke boys can't bang with Houston. Them Duke boys can't bang with Houston. They're too soft, Caden. They're too soft.
Yeah, that's just false. That's just false. That just ain't happening, boy.
All right, Cade. Now, if we have these hypothetical championships the way we wanted them, you got Florida versus Duke. I got Florida versus Houston. Who do you have winning it all?
Yeah, in my matchup of Florida versus Duke, hell, even if it is Florida versus Houston, give me the Florida Gators. They are the best team in the country. They are able to do it offensively in the paint, from the mid range, from three, at the free throw line, which is very important this time of year. And they have a player like Walter Clayton who can do it, score from all 3 levels offensively. They have great big men play down low. They play great defense, score the ball well. And yes, you're going against a Duke team that has Tyrese Proctor, that has Cooper Flag. But I think they're going to be able to limit one of those two because they're not going to be able to limit both of them enough to make it like effective. But they're going to be able to basically take away one of these two, and I think that will be enough to get the job done over these Duke Blue Devils. So the Florida Gators are cutting down the nets this upcoming Monday.
And as you guys have already heard throughout this entire tournament, this entire bracket, I've been saying it since the Big 12 championships. I got Houston, regardless of who they may play, because it could potentially be Auburn in this matchup as well. I know we both got Florida, but could be Auburn. Regardless, give me
Florida.
Houston. I think that's all we got for this episode. We are excited to watch all these games. Caden, what should these people do before they go?
Yeah, make sure you guys leave a like on this video if you did enjoy to this episode of the Untouchaballs podcast. Leave a comment on your takes. Do you agree with what we are saying? Do you disagree with what we're saying for these upcoming games? What would you say differently than we are? Make sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload of the Untouchaballs podcast. And share this with your friends, family, strangers, neighbors, anything like that.
Most definitely, we appreciate you. We thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.